All right, so what's in my camera bag 2022? I'm right now in the Alps, as you can see here in the backdrop, and I'm going to show some really epic photos in the future on my channel. But from now, I just want to go through what it is I have brought with me to the Alps, what I bring on photo tours, so basically what's in my camera backpack in 2022. And first and foremost, my camera backpack is the Pro Tactic 450AW from Lowepro, and it's a great backpack. I've had it for many years. Admittedly, on this specific trip, I should probably have brought my Shimoda Action X50 because it has like an extra back here on top that you can bring stuff into, and we've done quite a lot of hiking. So yeah, I should have done that instead of carrying around like a sling, another backpack. But yeah, great backpack, lots of extra pockets that you can use. You have all sorts of accessories like water bottle holder. You can open it from the side if that is what you so desire. Personally, I don't really use that. Extra pouches, and of course a tripod holder here on the side. I'm using the tripod to hold the camera right now, so I can't show you that. But yeah, generally a really good backpack. And when you open it up inside, it opens up from the back, so it's fairly safe to bring out into the field. There's not a lot of thieves that can get into it. So loads of pockets. You can even put your backpack or laptop into your backpack here, and all sorts of different pockets that you can change as you like. So that was the backpack. When it comes to my vlogging gear, I am continually using my Zoom H1 to record my audio so that I can basically go all the way out into the distance and still have nice sound. I have the Røde mic. It's called a lavalier mic 2, the second version here on top, and then with a little dead rabbit, dead cat, whatever, to take the wind noise. It seems to work really good, the second one here. The first one died after like 4 or 5 years. And then I'm using to vlog. Get a lot of questions about this, what my vlogging camera is. This small one here, the DJI Osmo Pocket. This is the first version. There's also a second version you can get now. It can do all sorts of different things. You can attach your phone to it and so forth, but I only use it to vlog. It has a gimbal stabilizer in it, and you can very easily just turn it on. There we go. And start recording. It takes like one button, and then you can just flip it around as you so desire. It has face tracking and all sorts of stuff, so it's a great little machine right here. So that's my vlogging gear, like those two pieces, and I'm good to go. And it takes up no space whatsoever. I can have it in my pocket. When it comes to filming myself right now, I'm filming on my A7C. So this is a full frame camera that is actually made for vlogging. It has a flip out screen so I can see myself from a distance, and that's something I have missed. Beforehand I used the smaller RX100 Mark IV, but the problem with the RX100 Mark IV was the first one, and then I have the Mark VII. But the problem is with those two cameras that the battery just dies immediately. So I had to have something that used the big batteries from the Sony lineup, and I can use all my full frame lenses on this camera too that I'm filming with right now. Also, it's super sharp. So it's a great camera also for filming at night, the A7C. And then my main photography camera is still my good old trusty A7R3. It has 42.1 or 2, something like that, megapixels. I haven't really had the urge to upgrade to the Mark IV. This works great. Don't submerge it into salt water, it dies from that. So this is my second version. I got a bit of salt water on the first one, all the back in 2019. It's 2022 now, so it's holding up really well. It doesn't have the flip out screen, it just have this the flippy screen here, so it doesn't have fully articulating. It's great for when you're photographing from a low angle like this, but it's completely useless if you're making vertical photos like I often am. Another issue I still find with this one here, if you've seen my previous videos where I talk about it, is that when the hot shoe gets wet, it comes up with an error message. I still don't understand why Sony just doesn't change that. It of course also has 4K video, which is great. I often use that to just film myself with some B-roll out in the field. Although the A7C is the sharper camera when it comes to 4K. It's also a much newer camera than the A7R III. But yeah, overall, really great camera. If you want to learn about composition in landscape photography, be sure to get my 2 ebooks. They have got plenty of 5-star reviews. I go through all the different techniques and compositional tools that I use when I compose my photos. When it comes to lenses, I have brought 3 lenses here to the Alps. It's the 3 lenses I mainly use. I use the 16 to 35mm f2.8, and yeah, well, it's such a standard wide-angle lens. Sony has just come out with the 16 to 35 f4, which is supposedly even sharper and smaller and lighter. And I have my eyes on that, so maybe you will see that in the next What's in My Camera backpack video. But yeah, it's super sharp. Like it's one of the sharpest 16 to 35mm lenses on the planet Earth. But it's a great lens. So for my medium lens, I'm using the Tamron 28 to 200mm lens. And honestly, from 28 to 35mm, it's not really good. The optical quality is really bad. However, from 35 to 200mm, it is super sharp. Like it's really, really great. A little iffy in the corners, but considering that you get like 20 or 35mm to 200mm in such a compact lens here, I use it like so much, especially down here in the Alps. Great lens. It extends. It doesn't have built-in image stabilization, so you do have to rely on your camera's built-in image stabilization, which is also good. Not always as good as if a lens had built-in image stabilization. But yeah, this is the lens I'm using all the time. It's also a fantastic lens to combine with a 16 to 35mm, because you basically just need 2 lenses to cover everything from 16 to 200mm. Those 2 lenses, and you're basically good to go. I of course also have brought my 100 to 400mm lens. It just gives that extra reach, and since it also has built-in image stabilization, it's also a good lens to just walk around with. This one extends too. I have the shoe, not the hot shoe, but just like the lens shoe from Kirk. It's called the LP65. I'm sure it's still available somewhere. And yeah, there's not a whole lot more to say than this is just like, again, Sony GM lens. Fantastic lens, really to zoom into all those background details, which is so good to have, especially here in the Alps. Really brilliant lens. It's a little bit soft when you have zoomed all the way in, so like from probably 350mm to 400mm, it's a little bit soft, but it's completely acceptable, although it's a little bit to the expensive side. Now the biggest issue with both the Tamron and the 100 to 400 is if you're shooting a relatively flat scene, so let's say a lot of sky or something like that, and you're using, and I can only say the wrong aperture and focal length combination, is that both of them creates quite a significant amount of vignetting, lens vignetting. It either comes out as darker rings in the photo or in the corners. So be aware of that. It's simply just a design feature with all long lenses. It's at least what I have experienced, but just be aware of it. The last lens I have also brought is my night photography lens, the Sony 20mm f1.8. Fantastic lens. It's so sharp. Basically one of the best lenses on the market right now for night photography, astrophotography, when you want to go wide angle. It has this clicky feature when you change the aperture. You can also take it off, so it's just completely smooth. Yeah, fantastic lens. Autofocus, manual focus, also in this one. Really great. Then I of course have some filters. And I'm using this little lens pouch here from Freewell. Open it up, and inside I have magnetic filters. So there's like this base you simply just screw on to your lens you're using. right now I have the 82mm because my widest lens is 82mm, and it's magnetic, so you simply just take them on and off. Really simple. Put it back on again. And in this specific combination here, I have all sorts of different ND filters. I have the 6-stop filter, and I have a 10-stop filter, and probably, I don't know what this is, 3-stop filter. And then I have a step-up ring. And step-up rings are quite essential when you have a filter system like this. So what I prefer to do, instead of having a filter system to each of my lenses, I just go with round filters, and then I use step-up rings, so that if I'm using my Tamron lens, which is a 67mm filter thread, then I just put on the step-up ring and then combine it with the filter, and in that way I just need one filter system, and this can be in this little pouch here. So generally that is what I prefer. After many years, I really prefer just a screw-on base and then magnetic filters that you can put on and off. That being said, I'm not using filters a whole lot these days, although the circular polarizing filter, I'm using that from time to time down here also. Great. Also, when it comes to filters, I also have the Star Glow filter from Case, designed by Alan Wallace, and it is a great little filter to just emphasize the stars when you're photographing the stars. What I've found out is that when you use a Star Glow filter, is that instead of just having it on during the entire exposure, just put it down in front of the camera and for like maybe half of the exposure, and then take it back up again, and then you get a really good glow effect. So what more do you need? Definitely a blower. If you're using a mirrorless camera, you need to blow off all that dust all the time. Then I have this little, it's actually a bike accessory, but it's so good to have these, are they called Allen keys, wrenches, whatever, simply just so that you can tighten whatever you need to tighten, like your tripod, when the tripod legs come loose. Speaking of the tripod, I have brought my Benro Travel Angel. It is a fantastic tripod to go out into the field. It gets the job done. It's light, it's small. I have the other Benros back home, the Mark III, and also the newest Rhino version, I think. I don't remember the name. But I brought my Travel Angel to the Alps because I knew that there was quite a lot of hiking, and it's super light. Then I also have a first aid kit. You have to bring a first aid kit into the field. It is absolutely a necessity. Different kinds of lens cloths. Have it just in my little plastic bag here so they don't get wet. Fantastic lens cloths. There are many different versions you can get of these. Just make sure to get some that are really good at absorbing water, so it doesn't smear the water around on the filter. So what more do I have? I have a little LED light. You can use it to light paint stuff. This is the Godox LED 36. So yeah, and you can turn the brightness up and down. And in it I just have some AA batteries that you can just recharge whenever you want to do that. Then I of course have a lot of extra batteries. By now I have 5 of these big Sony batteries. Personally, I prefer not to use third-party batteries. I have bad experience with those. Some people have good experiences with them. I think it seems to be a little bit all over the place. Then I have a toothbrush. A toothbrush is really good. So if you're shooting around water, to just get all that corrosion and all that salt off your camera, just to clean it up afterwards. So I always bring also a toothbrush. Besides everything I have here in my camera backpack, I also have my drone, DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Still works great, flies great. After, I don't know, 4 years I've had it. I even crashed it into a tree, and it fell down into a lake, so I had to jump into the lake and recover it. I very fast took the battery out, tried to wipe it off, took the SD card out, and then I just put it for drying like for 4 or 5 days. And yeah, seems like it has never been submerged. So I'm curious to see how long that will last, or if it's just going to drop down from the sky. But yeah, all in all, this is what I bring out into the field. This is my camera bag in 2022. I have other lenses like the 12 to 24 millimeter, but I gotta admit, it's more and more rare that I actually need those millimeters from 12 to 16 millimeters. So I just use my 16 to 35 for the most part. Also, if I use the 12 to 24 millimeter, then I would actually miss the 24 to basically 35 millimeter that I can't really use with my Tamron lens. So that is why I'm mainly using that combination now. And then I also have my 24 to 105 millimeter lens. And even though it optically is a little bit better than the Tamron, at the very least from 24, which the Tamron can't do, and all the way up to 35. But the Tamron is just much more practical, so I just keep grabbing the Tamron instead of my Sony 24 to 105, even though the Sony 24 to 105 is an absolutely brilliant lens. And you can easily combine that with a 16 to 35 and then the 24 to 105 and then 100 to 400. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on what is in my camera backpack in 2022. I'm really trying to just like do it as simple as possible and has a little gear as possible and try not to compromise too much, but I still want to have like all the focal lengths available, and I want to have a tripod, and I want to also have like, you know, sharp photos. So yeah, it's about finding that threshold about practicality and image quality. And I think right now it's pretty optimal. There are links to all my gear down in the description of this video, so be sure to check that out too. Yo, so I completely forgot to mention that I of course also have my head torch in the backpack. Absolutely essential. It can be a lifesaver, literally, if you are hiking in the mountains and you get caught in the dark. They come in so many different shapes, sizes, and so forth. Make sure to get one which is of decent quality, not some really cheap $5 stuff. This one here is Black Diamond version from, yeah, I'm not even sure what brand it is. Anyway, it works really well. Again, it can be a lifesaver. If you want to learn even more about editing, enroll in my huge Photoshop for landscape photographers post-processing course. This is the last week of the summer sale, so if you want to get $100 off, be sure to get it now. There is a link down in the description with the coupon code. In the course, I go through all the different techniques I use when I edit my photos. Everything from controlling light, controlling glow, adding atmosphere, how to use luminosity masking, how to edit with luminosity masking, how to blend photos, and how you avoid like really obvious mistakes that I can see a lot of beginners still make. So of course, links down in the description. Be sure to use the coupon code. And as always, I would highly appreciate both a like and a comment. Thanks for watching.